We should probably, like, talk to these people now. Now that I've ruined their academy and just got their astrologer sent to prison, basically. The man mumbles to himself as he grinds a mortar and pestle. He seems oblivious to your presence until he mutters, "I'll just be a moment, young'un." He stares at the concoction of herbs, frowning. Suddenly, he hawks a glob of phlegm and spits it into the bowl, grinds and sets it aside, seemingly satisfied. "Now then, I'm Don Guile, prime alchemist of this old academy. What can I do for you?" "Can you teach me about alchemy?" "Better than most, I'd wager. With alchemical equipment, you can combine ingredients to make new concoctions. Feel free to use the equipment in my study. Now, the academy has been floating over these Oneric Isles for a year now, and I've gotten a flavor for the herbs that grow here. Brew 2 eyes of Pageth for a potent health potion. Paradoxicus revitalizes mana, and Jitterseed will restore stamina, but there are plenty more combinations, mark my words." "Are there any rarer herbs?" He betrays a sly grin. "Ah, well, that depends who's asking. That damned Inquisition have banned the use of some of the most potent alchemical herbs to the chagrin of those who know better." He leans closer, "But to those who know where to look, you can still find Death's Veil around these parts. It's a shroom that grows from the cursed remains of a corpse. Macabre stuff, but extremely useful. Combine it with an Eye of Pageth for an elixir of restoration. You could be on death's door, but one of these would fix you right up." "Can you combine ingredients other than herbs?" "You can. When an alchemical experiment fails to produce something useful, you'll often get a type of alcoholic spirit. Mix these with herbs, and you can make all sorts of beverages. They'll get you right plastered, too. The ancient alchemists' right of refining base metals into gold, but the art has been lost forever, erased from existence itself. Such powers were deemed too dangerous and unstable." "Is it possible to make a poison?" "Of course, mix an Eye of Pageth with Jitterseed. The latter reverses the healing effects of the former, making it a concoction that'll eat through skin. Coat your weapons with that, and your enemies will be sorry." "Thanks for the info. How'd you become Prime Alchemist?" He's silent for a moment, looking past you in contemplation. "I come from Lundel, a beautiful and wild place, where wind and rain will shape a man. My father was the court alchemist for the king. He worked with the Wiccans and the local gods to ensure the prosperity of the realm. It was a noble position and one I inherited on my 22nd year. He sighs. "But my tenure was cut short by the God War. Lundel fell into civil war and my liege was slain. The Wiccans became traitors and gods became outcasts. I fled to this academy, and good thing I did. My past allegiances would have seen me hung by the newfangled Union, were it not for the protection of this place. I warrant there are still some who would wish that fate upon me even now." Alright, so he's got nothing particularly deep to say. Just tells us about himself. The woman's flesh hangs loosely from her bones. Ruptures in the skin reveal muscle, sinew, and patches of exposed bone. She glances at you with cloudy eyes. "You know it's rude to stare, mortal. My name is Glem, the chief historian of this academy." "Can I ask about some history?" "Of course, mortal. I've read every book in this place, and let me tell you, most of them are wrong. I should know, being older than the world rend." "Can you tell me about the Apostatic Union?" "The Union is a relatively young conglomerate of states. It was formed 40 years ago when the victors of the God War unified under one banner. But the lands that make up the Union can trace their history back 400 years, when the survivors of the world rend fled the Sky Realms. They were feudal kingdoms then, allied to the Wiccans and their gods. Venna has always been a diplomatic hub, and its principal city Riova is now the capital of the Union. Lundel is a noble land full of castles and windswept plains. Biona is a place of culture and learning, the best universities, the best theaters, the best wines. And lastly, Slev is the northernmost land, and a cold, harsh one at that. Its cities are rife with corruption and gangs. But half a century ago, the rulers of these lands chose to break free from the Wiccan covens. Astoundingly, they chose to fight their own gods, and even more astoundingly, they won, and the Apostatic Union was born." Can you tell me about the islands? "This archipelago, with Hallowshire at its heart, is known as the Oneric Isles. To the east of Hallowshire lies Cardova, more recently known as the Clockwork Kingdom. To the west is the Endless Realm, where my kind originates. But these islands have not always existed together. Islands in the Sky Realms drift with the current, and if you go back 100 years or so, neither Cardova or the Endless Realm were part of this archipelago." "What about Hallowshire?" "For many years, Hallowshire has existed as an independent territory in league with the Wiccan cult of the Worm, who worship the fertility god Pygeth. But recently it has been absorbed into the Apostatic Union's borders, making it the southernmost territory of the Union. As you have no doubt noticed, there is a great deal of friction between the locals and the Apostatic Union soldiers. When townsfolk have relied upon a god for so long, they don't take kindly to having that god suddenly outlawed." Can you tell me about the Erudite Academy? The Erudite Academy is over 200 years old. Unlike the other universities in the Apostatic Union, it is not tied to a single state, it exists independently. For much of its history, it was a fringe establishment, refusing to align with gods or Wiccan covens. In fact, many of the treatises and polemics that laid the ground for the God War originated from this very establishment. And so it should come as no surprise, then, that since its inception, the Union has favored the Erudite Academy with high-profile commissions and secretive projects. As you can see, the Academy exists on a flying island. It moves between territories to where it is needed most. We have been stationed to these Oneric Isles for about a year now. Tell me about the distant past. Well, that's quite a question. I will try to be brief. For most of human history, civilization thrived far below, on the world's surface. Feudal kingdoms flourished under the patronage of powerful gods, and the Wiccans mediated between mortals and the divine. But advances in magic and technology led to the rise of the Emberian Empire. Huge cities spread across the world, linked by unfathomable spells, and the Wiccans fled to the Sky Realms. But then, of course, we had the World Rend, 400 years ago. We cannot say exactly what the World Rend was, only that it destroyed the world's surface and forced humans to flee these Sky Realms. Believe it or not, I was alive during the World Rend. I remember an intense flash, a burning heat, and a terrible sound like 1,000 screams. Our island crashed into another during the commotion. I have known nothing like it. You don't seem like the other scholars. Your skills of deduction are quite exemplary, mortal. I'm an endless, and so quite unlike the rest of this bunch, I look like a rotting corpse. But I've been here the longest. In fact, I've been at the Academy since before any of these scholars were even born. How did you end up here? I left my homeland over 2 centuries ago. Back then, my kind indulged in their insatiable hunger by waging constant war on the living, the Cadaver Crusades. It was repulsive, and so I left. I wandered for a long time, half-starved, before the Erudite Academy found me. I think they brought me in more as a research specimen, but it soon became apparent I was a brighter spark than most of them. I became a historian on account of me being older than most of their books. Sooner or later, my superiors all died, and so here I am, chief historian. And the other scholars accept you? It varies. Many in the Apostatic Union think us endless should be burned at the stake, but here at the Academy, your kind seem to be more accepting. Although that buffoon Giovanni clearly wants me thrown out with the outhouse slop. When I first came here, I hid my flesh in silks and bandages to hide my shame, but over the years I ceased to care. If people want to gawp, let them gawp. Thanks for indulging my curiosity. It's quite all right, mortal. Most of your kind just scarper at the sight of me, think I'm infectious or something. All right, now we can read books. Foolhardy Voyage by Stultus Navigatio, 1426. As I write this account, my quill wavers in my hand. I can see the skin peeling and flaking from my fingers, blood and pus seeping from the cracks. Before the sepsis sets in, I hope to recount my fateful voyage to the Emberian city of Nodlum. It was my final voyage, and these will be my final words. The expedition was funded by the Erudite Academy. They had us sign numerous documents and waivers, no doubt written from the safety of some Riovan legal office, clearing them of any accountability. I was not perturbed. I thought our success was assured. The vessel we traveled in was outfitted with the latest in cipher technology. We had hired an etherist, who hermetically sealed the thing with numerous cipher wards and provided us with finely crafted garments that allowed one to survive in the outer reaches of the cosmos. But when I asked the etherist to accompany us for a healthy salary no less, he replied, "The Underlands? Nay. I have flown into the cosmos on 6 occasions and stared into its inky blackness. I have delved into the dread depths of Slev's poison lake and escaped unscathed. I have been to the unspeakable places, but the Underlands, I will not go there." We anchored our galleon in the southernmost skies of the Apostatic Union, close to the near-lawless archipelago of the Oneric Isles. The galleon's captain was wary of pirates, but I insisted we would be back before the nearby Neuron star withdrew its reddish glare. Our shuttle detached itself from the galleon, shaking as we made our descent through the clouds. My crew sat uneasy as the light faded. In the 400 years since the World Rend, few have visited the world's surface and lived to recount it. But our landing was uneventful enough. We opened the hatch to find the glistening bones of a city stretching towards the sky. Huge metal structures arched overhead, supported by girders of an impossible scale that no living blacksmith could reproduce. We set to work examining the ruins. Legend describes how the Emberians wrote nothing with ink. They stored their knowledge in vast networks of cipher, accessible to any citizen, so that each and every person was learned as a great scholar or polymath. Lamentably, this proved to be true, for we could find no book, no page, no scrap of writing to shed light on the mystery of their culture. What we found were towering halls, once used for some inscrutable bureaucratic purpose, but which now lie overtaken by fungi. We saw evidence of the rail ships that hauled cargo of unimaginable weight, and the great portal relays that are said to have connected every corner of the world. We stared bewildered through the eye goggles of our protective hoods. My faith in the wonders of Aetherist technology was well-founded. The accursed earth could not infect us with its taint. So long as our suits remained intact, we were safe, but there was just one factor I had not accounted for. The scream echoed throughout the halls. We spun to see one of our crew collapse on the floor, blood gurgling from his suit. As we made our way to investigate, I caught something in my periphery, too quick to see, and I turned to see another of us standing plainly with no head upon her shoulders. She crumpled into the darkness without making a sound, so we ran. The suits were cumbersome and the air thick with spores. I cannot say how the other crew met their fate. I heard cries but did not falter in my flight. In my arrogance, I had assumed tales of monsters were but fictions of dying men. For what could survive down here in this wasteland? But as I neared the shuttle, exhausted and terrified, one of the creatures appeared plainly before me. I have heard tales of ghosts, but this was not one. It was a shadow incarnate, a swirling amorphous presence. A spectral arm emerged from the dread mass, which became a scythe as it swung towards me. I ducked and sprinted to the shuttle, narrowly escaping its ephemeral blade. As I closed the shuttle's hatch, I could see the creature in chase, and I swear I saw a face there staring at me not with rage or malice, but with a terrible sadness in its eyes. When I returned to the safety of the Sky Realms, it became clear that the creature had torn a large gash in my protective suit. Over the coming days, I became wrapped with terrible agony as my skin blackened and split. I exist now, a week since our voyage, in the state of prolonged decay, my consciousness being the last remnant of humanity left in this revolting husk of a body. It will not be long until I succumb to the Death Veil curse. Let this be a warning to those who wish to follow in my footsteps. The Emberian civilization, which ruled every corner of the world some 400 years ago, is forever lost, and to go in search of its secrets is to meet a terrible fate. So that must be the terrible secret, or at least related to the terrible secrets that Velicalis is looking for, right? Down in the Shadowlands or the Underlands or whatever? Interesting. Maybe the Death's Veil curse is what she's looking for. The Hidden Truth of Cipher by Anonymous. The art of cipher magic is practiced in every corner of the Apostatic Union based on the learnings of its universities. Yet there is a paradox at the very heart of their scripture. To speak openly about it will see the full wrath of the Inquisition fall upon one's liberty, and so for fear of rotting in some dark cell, I must hide the authorship of this treatise. This treasy? Never seen that word before, I have no idea what that means. But let it be known I am a scholar of some renown. It is entirely true that there is a hidden language of the cosmos. A series of symbols that comprise an incomplete alphabet known as cipher. This is like the Elden Ring. Individually, these symbols are meaningless, but when strung together into lines, they can have profound effects. This is the basis of all magic. But while human scribes must painstakingly etch out each symbol, their pens heavy with the import of the task, the gods' very thoughts are writ in cipher and magic comes to them easily. Nonetheless, the gods are still bound to the rules of cipher. This was the philosophical justification for the God War, the renunciation of Wiccan control and the forming of the Apostatic Union. For if humans and gods draw from the same power, the argument went, then why must we submit ourselves to a divine hierarchy? Indeed, the first Union polymath theorized that the cipher itself was created by humanity, that in the cave-dwelling days of prehistory, humans discovered a power in themselves and built a language around the power, that etched itself upon the cosmos. As human superstition led them to pray to divine beings of their imagination, such beings were made manifest from that belief. Such is the reasoning that lies at the very heart of the Apostatic Union, that man predated cipher, and to defy this supposed truth is to commit an act of treason in the Union. But in the past few decades, scholars have made incredible advances in cipher research. We can study the cosmos with a precision not enjoyed since before the world rend. And what have we discovered? That there are certain rules written into the very fabric of existence. A sentence theoretical but very likely to exist threads itself through this world and every world. This sentence explains the limitations of our spells, why we cannot reverse the flow of time, why we cannot resurrect the long dead. But most important of all, it was written long before humans existed. And it is written in cipher. By whom? We cannot say, and likely never will, because the Inquisition has taken every possible step to repress this research. I have witnessed my temporaries, typo, disappear, others threatened into silence. I have watched entire library wings burn down to the ground. But it is imperative that we spread the truth. An ideology founded upon a lie is rotten to the core. That's true. No more books up here. As you approach, the man's face contorts into a ghoulish expression. Really, this is what passes for a scholar these days? Please refrain from getting your muddy footwear on the flooring. He turns away and sighs. Well, seeing as you're here, perhaps you may be of some use. Back in Vena, I had 12 servants in this damnable place. Nary a soul will lift a finger to help. Perhaps you're different, I'm Giovanni Bori of the Bori family. I'm destined for great things. Father says so. But for now, I'm merely the chief cartographer of this wretched place. What does the Academy do with cartography? Traditionally, not much. It's a rather menial task for navy vessels and merchant map makers. But the trouble with living on floating bits of rock is that they have a habit of moving around, and old maps become useless, so the Academy is working on a more inventive solution. How'd you become chief cartographer? Well, it's a funny thing. I had no real interest in maps before this position. Fiddly things, wouldn't you say? All those tiny drawings and so easy to get them the wrong way around. But when Father decided I needed some academic experience to continue my political career, the only position he could wrangle was chief cartographer of this dismal place. Honestly, I would have much rather been the Aetherist commander. At least neuron stars are a bit more fun. Anyway, might as well make the best of it, I sent out our junior scholars to map these Oneric Isles. This may be a dreary backwater, but at least there are discoveries to be made. Like magic maps? You're one step ahead, I see. Because the central islands of the Apostatic Union are held fast with powerful magic, there's not been much need for enchanted cartography until recently. You see, these Oneric Isles lie on the fringes of Union territory. They drift around, crash into each other, even break apart. New maps are produced and circulated all the time, but even so, captains can't rely on them out here. So the Academy is working on a network of cipher spells to track the island's movements, to update maps instantly. Rather ingenious, wouldn't you say? Of course, the scholars here do all the clever calculations. I provide the impetus. Okay, I think I get it. Good to hear. Goodbye. All right, he's got nothing interesting to say. I think there was one more set of like books to read, I think. I don't remember if it was down here. A god right here in the Union Institution. What in the realms were they thinking? Agree. Oh, unspent delusions. Very nice. Might be time to introduce, update Might just a little bit. Yeah, there's no books. Okay, yay, we're done with this place, I think. Let's do it. The pages of the grimoire crackle with magical energy. A quill rises quite of its own accord before scratching on the page. Please write your destination. Okay, so we need to actually go to the places to connect them. So that's good to know. That was scary. I wanted to stand on the railing so I could see. Okay, it's slowly coming up. I don't see the typhus around anywhere. There's no wreckage of it, at least. If this is all the world map, it's a pretty big world map, huh? Okay, let's look around. It's so weird that you can just fall off right here. They should make the guardrail physical when it's up. All right. What does he have to say? Does he change it all? Okay. Let's look at our quest, because I don't remember what we have. Thornwood Manor, Emberian. The Emberian ruins in Rustburg with a key that she purchased from a shop. I already did Rustburg. Golden Typhus, War Stories, Aristide's Rock, Safe Passage. We don't need roads. Okay, that's fine. All right. Huh. I'm fatigued now. Let's look around. I should probably just rest at the inn, right? Huh. Okay. Where do we want to go? What do we want to do? I guess I can explore down there. That section. Oh, I should examine the oddities shop again really quickly. I think I've already bought the key from it, but let's go there and just try to follow up on that. Bubbling brew, look at your wares. Just buy a bunch of stuff. Can't go up there. Where is the shop I'm looking for? Shop with the crystal spire, this one. I'm looking for an Emberian key. Looking for an Emberian antiques, are we? Well, you've certainly come to the right place. I have a small collection of bits and pieces from a relatively modest, he holds up a rusty piece of junk, to the downright exquisite, holds up another piece of junk. What's with all the rusty junk? He stammers affronted. Why, I'll have you know that these are priceless artifacts created by legendary Emberian blacksmith factories before the world end. We'll never see the likes of such craftsmanship again. Yeah, but what actually are they? Well, this one is some type of component, and this was clearly an elaborate type of metal, rod, as I said, priceless. I need a key to open a nearby ruin. Ah yes, I often get requests for keys. There are plenty of old Emberian ruins that, despite being hundreds of years old, have proved impervious to spelunkers and scavengers, so would-be treasure seekers pin their hopes on a key. But there are innumerable old keys and innumerable old doors. As I tell most budding tomb raiders, actually opening one would be a matter of astounding luck. Although, there was a woman that came by not long ago who seemed to know exactly what she was looking for. This woman, who was she? About town she seems to be known as the Emberian. People seem to think she's a relic of that time herself, which of course is pure tattle. It's weird, you were all about telling me about her earlier. She does seem to be an avid collector though. The suit of armor she wears, I've never seen such a well-preserved relic. It outshines anything in my humble collection, that's for certain. What did she buy? She bought a key. She described its kind in very specific detail. Do you know what that key unlocks? Huh, if I did, I would have closed shop and gone off to use it long ago. Though in all honesty, I have often wished to test my collection of keys on the Emberian structure to the east of Hallowshire, if only surrounding town wasn't teeming with bandits. Can you tell me about this Emberian ruin? Well, it's been sitting there since before the world end, of course. As far as I'm aware, the town of Rustburg grew up around it, as people tried to prise it open and plunder its treasures. But they never succeeded. Emberian metal is inscribed with cipher, after all, to make it nearly impenetrable. Eventually, the town was destroyed in the God War for harboring Wiccans. It's been home to all sorts of scoundrels and ruffians ever since. But I sincerely doubt they've had any better luck with the Emberian ruins. Do you have another key? I want to buy one. He rummages around in a box of assorted metal parts. You're in luck, my friend. This Emberian key seems remarkably similar to the one I sold not long ago. Of course, what with this one being so high in demand, I couldn't go for less than 20 coins. 20? You said it yourself, probably won't work. Suppose you're right. Tell you what, just this once you can have it free of charge. But if by some miracle you do find treasure with it, let me take it off your hands for a fair price, of course. Personally, I always wanted to test it in those Emberian ruins past Rustburg. I have a hunch my previous customer had the same idea. Hey, we got a key from him now. He's actually useful. Let's like head there, I guess. Probably a good idea. So we have to go to the east. Okay. East is this way. Oh, we made it. Okay. Fuck. I didn't notice the glyph appears like hovering over the book. That's cute. All right, Emberian ruins. Where are you? Are they over there? Is that it? I'm gonna keep collecting like alchemical ingredients and then just not actually use them so that we can pay for house upgrades, because they were the bottleneck on the house upgrades. What is this spot? Fuck. I already did everything here. So now we just gotta find out how to get to the Emberian ruins. Hey, we did it. That was easy. This looks like an interesting landmark. It sure do. How are there people here? You're not Emberian. How'd you get over here? Get dunked on. Okay. There she is. The Emberian breathes heavily, leaning on her sword. I could tell you were a persistent one, though I have to admit I didn't think you'd make it in here. Still, you're lucky I got here first. These synthetics would have torn you limb from limb. She grins. I won't give up until you help me. Ha! Then your persistence will be the death of you. Now stay out of my way. Behind that door are the answers I seek. I've just got to catch my breath. All right, we'll go in here in a second. I want to head out and around real quick and just see if there's anything outside. My guess... Oop, there's a squirming godlet. That's great. Very good. That's good to have. We love that. And it doesn't really look like there's anything this way. Oh, fuck. Let's check around back. Yeah, there's nothing here. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. There's really is just kind of a set piece. We have to go one way. That's fine. Ah! Having basically unlimited stamina is really great. I really like it. Okay, we can lockpick that. That's cool. What is this? Quest updated the Emberian. Oh, we opened the door for her. Oh, very nice. The Emberian kneels, head bowed, sagging beneath the weight of her armor. Her body convulses. After a moment, you realize she's quietly sobbing. Hearing you approach, she falls silent. Are you okay? You catch a faint smile. Not really. You know, she found me in one of these places, in one of those coffins. It was Vela. She was 8 years old. When she pulled me out of that machine, coughing up ancient fluids, I couldn't have been much older. And so I was born into this world. I was lucky. Vela's father took me in and schooled me like his daughter, but I never found anyone who could explain my strange birth. I never found anyone like me. I thought this place might be different from the others. I thought it might explain something, but it's just another dead end. So you really are an Emberian? Who can say? Perhaps before the world rend, I was raised by a loving family who thought I'd be safe here. Or maybe I'm just a child of machines and magic. I'll never know for sure. I understand that now. But though none of these rusted tombs have given me answers, each one has fueled my anger. The Emberians threaded their needle through the world, altering its tapestry to their whims. And for what? The more I learn, the more I see their greed, their self-interest, their lust for power. And in the end, it destroyed them. It destroyed our world. Scholars can debate over scant evidence for an age, but who doesn't feel the truth in their guts? 400 years ago, the Emberians caused the world rend with their feckless ambition. That is their legacy, and I feel the weight of their sins. So this is why you turned on Vela. You're right, she sighs. At first I thought Vela would simply listen to me. We had often plundered harmless Emberian relics while leaving that which seemed unstable or dangerous. Why should this be any different? But the map we found and the artifact it promised, they rekindled something in her. A passion, an ambition that could not be quelled. She was determined to change the world, even if it meant dooming it. She unfurls her hand, staring at them. So what options did I have left other than my sword? I spilled the blood of my friends, my family, and still I failed. You've not failed, not yet. Together we'll finish what you started. She sighs for a moment. She is still. Then she looks at you, a fire in her eyes. You're right. For too long I've clung to the past. Felt like I owed Vela something. But this is bigger than the two of us. Bigger than anything else. If I have to kill my sister to save the world, so be it. Just promise me one thing. If against the odds we manage to fight our way to Vela, leave her to me, okay? It's settled then. She nods. I'll help you. I'm the only other person in the Sky Realms who saw the map Vela's following, so I know where to find her, but we'll need the others. I heard you captured Vela's old fortress, the Blinding Light. I'll make my way there. Oh, and thank you. I heard you captured... Yeah, okay. So the Emberians seem to... They had, like, stasis pods, but they weren't... Not everyone in them survived, seemingly. That sucks. Sorry, girl. Glorious treasure. Nice to have. Doesn't really make or break this run for us, but hey, we got more stuff. We got more stuff. It's awesome. It's like obligatory loot back here. You came back here. Let's reward you with a health potion. A little bit of a consolation prize, I guess. I thought there was a delusion there, but it's just iron ore. Still necessary. Let's bring this back. So that was interesting. I like the Emberian. She's cool. I do wish we knew her like actual name and not just the Emberian. Alright. We gained a glimmer of delusion, which is nice. Let's do what we said we would. Sell him the treasure. Like we said we would. There you go. Keep all this stuff. All right, so we got some good money. I want to buy some furnishings, but I also want to make the place look better and like function better. Apostatic union furnishings would probably be nice. You know, just as like a little thing we can do, you know? Union furnishings. It's only 126. I don't see why we wouldn't. Sure, that's fine. That covers pretty much that. That's pretty good. So, yeah, we did it. We finished the Emberian, the Endless Duchess, and the Sky Pirate Caxton Frost. Given that the Endless Duchess is next in the quest list, maybe we go to the Endless Realm first? That seems like it could be a good idea, right? And I believe along the way, we can stop... Yeah, we can stop down here at Thornwood, just so that I can put up my furnishings, I guess, and see if we have what we need to upgrade the mansion.